Hey everyone, Dee here coming at you again. Just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone for the love and support. It's truly been overwhelming. I've been absolutely humbled by the number of people that have reached out to me personally, and so grateful to you for sharing your story with me. I know that a lot of us hold a lot of our challenges kind of locked away in a vault. And I was talking to someone as recently as yesterday whose daughter is suffering from a different and a different health challenge, and just is in the process of kind of, coming out of the closet with her with her ailment, and owning it and not letting it own her. And I just applaud anyone who has the courage to do that. And to those of you who are working towards that courage, I hope that, my journey will maybe help you, see something within yourself, or if there's someone that, and love in your life that is feeling a bit constrained by what they're dealing with. I hope that this opens a conversation at the very slightest. So with this video today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about like my life before diabetes and what I always imagined type 1 diabetes was. So a little bit of a backstory for me is my mom was actually diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Actually, technically was considered a brittle diabetic, which I don't actually know if is a real term. But essentially, it's almost like an in-between of a type 1 and type 2. Her body was still releasing a small amount of insulin, but it was kind of decreasing as time went on. So in essence, it's almost as though she was a late in life diagnosed type 1, but her body was just slowly shutting down, and it was just within the moment that they, I guess, caught it in a sense. This was in the 80s, so things were a little bit different then. Needless to say, she's now considered a type 1 diabetic. So all my life, I just had this idea that there was a strong chance that I would get it. Because of my own ignorance, I assumed it was something that would happen during pregnancy, because essentially hers was discovered during pregnancy, the idea of almost a gestational diabetes that didn't go away. So I always thought that there was a strong chance in my mind that that would be kind of how I would end up getting it. I also thought that, I was someone who kind of teetered in the higher end of my BMI all my life. I was never necessarily an obese person, or, I lived a decently healthy life, but I tried very hard to stay on point with my health and nutrition as much as I could, with fear and with the thought that perhaps that could be something that could trigger it. Again, I stress just a lot of misinformation and preconceptions to what type 1 diabetes was before I was even diagnosed. And, it's funny because people would assume that, oh, well, your mom's a type 1, then you know everything about it. No, I knew what to do if, God forbid, she had, she passed out. I knew to give her juice. I knew to put sugar under 10. I knew all that. But I was embarrassed when she took needles in restaurants. She knows that. I was just so appalled by it all. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't understand when she'd have mood swings. I didn't understand when some of the symptoms that now I live in and live with, I didn't understand the impact of what this illness can do to things that you just can't control. And so I just lived my life in that mentality. When I got diagnosed, goodness gracious, was it a slap in the face of, wow. I think I just ran to my mom and was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the fights. I'm sorry for everything. And not understanding that when you said something was due to a low sugar or a high sugar, real talk, I thought it was an excuse. And I even myself nowadays, I get more angry when someone's like, oh, how's your sugar? If I'm upset with them about something, like, it makes me livid. But that's a whole other conversation. But at the end of the day is that I was like so many people that just have a completely not wrong, but like just misinformation about what type 1 diabetes is. A lot of people assume that you have to be overweight, that you must all eat really badly, pretty much like a concept that you did it to yourself. I've been told by many people that there's different kind of rituals and different sort of things that I could do to make my diabetes go away. And I live my life as an open-minded person. I believe in positivity. I believe in the universe. I believe in everything happening for a reason. At the end of the day, my pancreas doesn't work. That's the realness of it. I have a part that doesn't function in my body that's very important. I would love to believe that there's some sort of a healing that can make that go away without a brand new pancreas. I just don't see how that's possible. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm just still a little bit closed-minded in that way, and I own that. But at the end of the day, unless that pancreas can be brought back to life or an artificial one is put in my body, other than my insulin or my pump that this journey is just about to start, I don't know how that's a thing that can happen. And to all of you out there that go to type 1 diabetics and tell them that stuff, just know that, gosh, if there was something that could make this go away, we would take it in a second. But the reality is there's some stuff that it's just not possible right now. And it's just not possible. It's just not possible. I don't know. Maybe I'm closed-minded on that. But today's about talking about life and preconceptions. And what I would stress to you is ask questions to people that are diabetics living with type 1 diabetes. For example, there's a preconception that we can't eat sugar. Anything with sugar. Well, reality is there's sugar in everything, guys, pretty much. So to say I can't have a piece of cake, but I can have a banana, it's the same thing. We need to take insulin for the food that we're eating. For people that are insulin-dependent type 1 diabetics, which to my knowledge, most all are. Type 2 is typically where you can control it by diet or perhaps by a pill. And that is the form of that is the form of diabetes that has, in cases, been able to, I don't want to say go away, but rectify itself by working on your overall nutrition, decreasing, your weight and improving your lifestyle. Those are things that can make an impact and can, lessen the symptoms so much so that you can decrease insulin and perhaps decrease your treatments and perhaps don't even have to take it. I've heard stories of that from other individuals. However, with type 1, you need something to make that pancreas work. Essentially, when you're taking insulin, so to give you an idea of, I feel like I'm going into something that I should wait until another day, but I think at the end of the day is that the thing to remember for people with type 1 diabetes is we need insulin to basically do what your pancreas does. So you may see someone with diabetes, you may see me sitting and having some tiramisu. There's a lot of sugar in that. I'm aware from my nutritional component of my life what I'm ingesting, but I also need to be a human calculator. So I need to know, okay, if there's 60 grams of carbs in this small amount of tiramisu I'm having, I need to know in my ratio of insulin I need to take for that. I need to basically cancel each other out. So there's so much more work than you probably will ever realize that someone with type 1 diabetes it has to do. And when people say that they're tired, they're exhausted, they've got, there's so many, my brain is an ever-going calculator. If I'm having a snack, if I'm out for lunch or I'm out at a friend's house and they put out a tray of, tea and cookies, I have to know, okay, well, I should probably check my blood to make sure to see where I'm at, because this will probably go up. This is about 15 carbs. Like, that's an inner monologue that just happens that I don't even notice anymore. And that's why people may say no thank you, is because there's little logistics of, well, I'm wearing a dress and then I have to go upstairs. I have to go take my insulin. There's so many things. And I feel like this whole conversation is getting a little bit all over the place, but the whole point of this video itself, and I'm trying to keep these not too long, is that there's so much misinformation out there about diabetes and type 1 diabetes specifically. My hope is over the next little bit to, number one, raise awareness to some of those things of what some facts are, and they're going to be different for everyone. My life with diabetes is different than my mother's life with diabetes. It's different than someone else's and someone else's and someone else's. There's so many factors that affect everything, from the weather to, if you're a female, that time of the month, to a cold, the flu. I mean, cold and flu are different. When you have diabetes, you notice the difference. Your blood sugars are through the roof. Pregnancy, and this is a lot for women, but I mean, it's for men too. I mean, there's so many more challenges. Age, weight is 100% a factor, but really it's control. And if there's anything I can leave this video with, is just investigate a little bit. It's really sad to say, but type 1 diabetes, late-line type 1 diabetes, is becoming a bit of an epidemic. And good chance that you know someone or love someone and have someone very close to you that lives with this illness. And having someone who has a little bit of knowledge makes our lives so much easier. And I could go on and on and on about people that you should have had the information that didn't. We have a long way to go. You know, those of us living with this illness are so blessed to be able to live in a time period where there is nutritional information on a package. You know, we have the ability to test our blood just with a little device. We don't have to check it in urine. We don't have to check it in. There's so many stages before where we're at today. You know, I've often said that in an odd, ironic twist, for me developing type 1 diabetes was actually saved my life, because it forced me to really stop and take in everything, take in the world, take in everything. Sorry, my husband's a volunteer firefighter, so that's what that is. And I think one thing I've learned over the years with friends who have suffered from some of their own challenges is the importance of finding growth, finding humor, and finding strength when you're dealing with an illness such as type 1 diabetes, or whatever yours is. And every single person I know has something that has an illness that they can relate to. Not every single person has one, but I'm sure there's a lot of others out there that are just hungry for a voice. And I can tell you that there are people out there that want to listen. We want to help make it easier, because when someone offers a hand to me, I know how much that means to me and how much of an impact that makes on my life and those I care about and those I love, and seeing other people that are living in the same world as me. So, and there's so many people with things that are still too afraid to speak up. I've gone to so many conferences with women, and I know it was the same way when I was diagnosed, with this fear of telling anyone. And I'll talk about that in another video, but there's this vulnerability, there's a weakness, there's a judgment, worrying about what people think, and there's so much that goes into that, that if together you can step by step and have someone hold your hand and just say, I got you, it's a game changer. It's truly a game changer. So let's, for anyone who's watching, I got you. And I look forward to hearing some of your stories. And I look forward to continuing this journey with you. And again, I appreciate the love so far. So I don't know what this is going to be. I don't know what's going to come of this. But for those of you who do pay attention and join the ride, thank you for listening. Truly, from the bottom of my heart.